Hi, this is Monica Packer from About Progress, and you're listening to The Messy Middle, a monthly series where I share some of my own messy middle so you can see what progress looks like for a real woman in real time. A big welcome to March. I was looking at my day planner that I keep next to my computer. It's my work goal planner, actually. And I'm realizing, oh no, I already need to update that. I'm recording this right before March begins, and wow, the months are just rolling by, and I'll try not to begin every single messy middle like that. We do begin with a segment, What's Happening, where I get to share about what the last month entailed. So February was a big month in many ways. It began with me hosting a birthday party for my new 7-year-old that honestly almost killed me. And I say that, I'm exaggerating. It's hyperbole. It did not almost kill me, but it felt like it. I just decided to do a simple birthday party. I thought simple. And just a little background, I have only hosted one themed party for all my children in my nearly coming up on this year, 14 years of parenting. And that was for my oldest child, her first birthday. Actually, I'm remembering now I did one when she turned 3 as well. So she's had 2, and the others have had none. Now they've had birthday parties, but they haven't had themed parties. They were like, let's meet at a gymnastics studio, and the people there will make sure you're led and lots of fun, and we have cake and presents and go home. So like no decor, no nothing like that. Or like some of my older children have had kids come over and we've done water games in the backyard because it's during the summer, or games in the house. But this was one I wanted to do like, hey, let's have a little bit of fun with it. Let's not make it super big, but let's also have a little fun with it for a change, because this is my kid who just gets the most excited about things. He's also the child that he thinks about his birthday 365 days of the year. Like his birthday is Monday, and the next day he's asking about the next birthday already. So I thought, let's live it up. And I sent out invitations to, people in the neighborhood and some people from the class. And he did not want to do the gymnastics studio. We did that for 2 years in a row for him. So I'm like, well, let's just do it at home. Let's just do some simple games. But at the end of the day, I decided to do more of a campsite theme because he loves watching the Outdoor Boys on YouTube with us as a family. He loves those videos, just learning how to camp and be outdoorsy. So I went with that theme. And it actually was nice because it helped me think of some games we could do. But what was hard is, the lead up to it, I didn't realize just how, there's still so much preparation, even in a very simple birthday party that you host at your home. Making sure the house is clean, but also having the snacks we were going to do instead of like a giveaway or a little treat bag at the end. We did a build your own trail mix. So they had like a bag for that. So I had to get those things, making his cake. Sending out the invites, making sure people RSVP'd so I knew how many were coming, arranging for some carpooling for some of those kids because it was right after school on a Friday and they get out early. Anyway, all told, we had about 15 to 16 kids there, and all but 2 were boys. And I know that can be a stereotype, but as a mom of 5 kids, 4 of whom are boys, some who meet the stereotype, actually most who do and some who do not, I have to say, it was very loud. And it was very chaotic. And the first 10 minutes, I thought, I have made a massive mistake. All we did is have them go in the basement where we had our outdoor camping tent. We set it up in the basement, Brad did. And I just wanted to play some games with them, like charades or telephone. And instead, they wanted to just run all over the basement playing hide and seek, which I wasn't cool with because I don't want them hiding out in bedrooms and stuff like that. So we had to put a stop to that. Or they just wanted to play with all the toys, which I was fine with. But yeah, it was just chaos. It was pure chaos. The only other games I could think of, and that likely I prepped in advance, was pin the marshmallow on the stick. I took a poster board and just drew a fire scene and sticks, and then I printed off marshmallows for them to stick on. And that took 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, cool. I thought that would take 20. No, that took 5 minutes. And then kids complained that there wasn't a prize for people who got the closest. It's the joy of the journey. It's the fun in the process, right? I also made a coloring page on Canva, and that also would hold their attention for 30 seconds. The trail mix bar honestly, the whole bar I set up with like Chex Mix, and I asked ahead of time if anyone had food allergies. I made sure there were no nut allergies. We had some nuts, but it was mostly like Chex Mix or Cheez-Its or pretzels and craisins and a few M&Ms, stuff like that. It was like done in a minute. And it was like a swarm of locusts had descended on the table and it was all gone. So anyway, it turned out okay. It actually turned out great. He had the time of his life. But it really did almost kill me in the process. So I'm like, okay, this is why I didn't do this for many years. But at the same time, this is the time for this kid. And I'm glad he had a good experience. Beyond that, some other big things happened, including starting up childcare again. My babysitter started the first week of February. And I have to say, it was an adjustment, more so for me than for my toddler. She comes 3 mornings a week for 2.5 to 3 hours. Um, and I just felt all like the dumb guilt you do when you are making an adjustment to what you're doing with your kids and how like omnipresent you are and how like super involved or present you are. And I navigated that. But I have to say, like after the first 2 times, he was totally cool with it. And the same thing happened with him with swim lessons. I'm put him in swim lessons. This is one of those things I've learned in parenting, like pay for the good shoes because all the Target, Old Navy, Gap shoes, like they just get holes in them in like 2 months time. So pay for the Nike shoes. Another thing I've learned to pay for are swim lessons, like good swim lessons. And that's after years of paying for the cheaper version or like the group lessons. And so we have a family reunion in June or July where a pool's like right next to the house. And while all my other kids can swim, I'm just like so paranoid about that. We had a pretty bad experience with one of my siblings' child almost drowned years ago. So I'm just super aware of it and worried about it. So anyway, started him with swim lessons, which he also was like panic mode about, but then he adjusted to after 2 times too. So there was a big arc here of me being like, am I pushing him too much? This is too much for a toddler. And I really wish I could just be there like all day, every day. And I feel bad about it, but also him rising to the occasion, also him learning new skill sets, also him being okay with other people in ways that he hasn't been. And here's what else happened. The first week or two, takes some time. So I didn't necessarily get to work as much as I needed to during that time. But at the end of that 2 weeks, I noticed something about me. And it was that I felt less stressed. And it helped me see just how much I had been carrying around without having that support in place and how much I was trying to do and squeeze in every second of every day. So realizing like, not only do I feel less stress, I feel like I have more energy and more presence of mind and he's having fun and he doesn't seem to be getting damaged. I don't, and this again, I am speaking very honestly here. So for the women who have always worked full time and maybe had a choice on it or didn't, this isn't to knock on that. This is just what we navigate, right? As anyone who needs to do anything differently with parenting, whether you are full-time parent and you don't want to be, or you're part-time working or full-time or outside at home or inside and you don't have choices or you do, it's just, it's hard. It's hard. So, at the end of the day, I feel really good about doing this. And, I know she's going to be here through July. And then after that, maybe we'll navigate it again and I'll take on fewer clients. But this was time. I needed to take on more coaching clients. And I'll tell you more about that in a bit. And that's going really well. And I'm so glad I have the clients I do. But I've noticed all of my childcare hours mostly go to clients. And so I still have the same small amount of time as I did before to work on the podcast, which is okay, but it's something I'm kind of adjusting to. But yeah, it's going well. That was the nutshell of that. Some other things, I launched my Sticky Habit Intensive and I already started teaching that, which has been really great. It's likely the only intensive I'm going to host this year, thanks to the book launch. I went to the ballet. I went to Cinderella with my friend on Valentine's Day. So fun. If you listen to More Personal, that's the premium show for bestie levels and ride or die levels of the supporters club, then you heard that on Valentine's Day, I went with my best friend from growing up on a date to see the ballet Cinderella. It was beautiful. We were in the nosebleeds and it was still so amazing and still such good seats. It felt like you could still see so much. I'm like, wow, I'm totally going to just be more about nosebleeds. She got us free tickets and it was a blast. I also went on a work trip this past weekend. It's been many years since I believe 2021 or maybe early 2022, very early 2022, that took like a couple days. Rachel and Nilsson and I, for 3 and 30 podcasts, we've done this several times in the past where we take 2 or 3 days together to just work. And I've been up to Sun Valley, near where she lives, and she's been down to Salt Lake near where I live, and we kind of trade off. And it had been many years, so I rented a car again because we're a one-car family and drove up to Idaho. And we were in her in-laws canyon and worked for like 2.5 days straight. And it was such a blessing. And also in that trip, it helped me see, oh my goodness, everything takes so much longer. And it was kind of that no wonder moment where I was like, no wonder I have been feeling like every second of every day matters and I can't waste a second because I have been trying to fit in so much work to such little time that seeing like when I had a whole day to work on something, just how much time it actually took was really validating for that. And also, again, validating of childcare that I did. And also, I've hired a hybrid editor that she's just started. She's going to co-edit the show with me. I'll save you the details on like what she's specifically doing, but that's also just validated that choice too. And she's just working like 1.5, maybe 2 hours tops a week, maybe 1 to 2 hours tops a week, but that 1 to 2 hours makes such a big difference for me. So that again was validated by that trip. And I was so grateful for that time, both with Rachel and to work and to get clarity in my business and some strategies I want to do from here. And it was so great of Brad to do it that weekend. And now I'm doing it for him. He left, I came home Sunday afternoon. He left Monday early morning before the kids were up to go on a work trip. And I'm in the middle of that right now. And like, that's just the beauty of life. We get to trade off and do that for each other. And it felt so good. And another thing that's what's happening is I started buying seeds for the garden and I'm beginning to plot it out. This is the earliest I've ever started on that. And I know it's going to take me a long time to do so just because I have to work in such small segments of time. But yeah, all good things, I guess. February was a good month and also kind of a complicated, but ultimately good month as well. The highs for me involved the ballet and the work trip. Tonight, I'm going to go to Les Mis with my sister and my oldest child. So I'm sure that's going to be a high as well, but I haven't experienced it yet. My lows were just, we had a lot of sickness this past month. I feel like my toddler has only had like 1 or 2 days where he's suddenly not coughing anymore. And then he goes back into some kind of cough or nose or sickness of some kind. He just gets whatever the kids bring home. But also my fourth gets sick pretty easily too. And he's our child that we had the tonsillectomy last year. So I do have to say he's been less sick and less intensely as he was in prior years, which is nice, but he still just tends to get sick more often. I have a theory on it. I think it has to do with he's our kiddo who had to have emergency bowel surgery as a newborn, and all of his intestines were just like shoved back in there. And I just feel like there's something about that he just maybe doesn't have as good of gut health or something, so he just gets sick more easily. So, just a lot of that this past month too. That was a long what's happening segment, but now let's move on to the DSL update. In the DSL update, I tell you what's been happening with my do something list. The most exciting thing to share with you is that I actually finished finalizing it. It took me a while to do that, even though I had ideas as early as November. I was writing down ideas for my do something list. Again, it's just been like I've had no seconds to put towards it. When I taught the free workshop for women in our community, which by the way, you can get access to make your own DSL, it's never too late. You can go to aboutprogress.com/DSL. When I taught the workshop and I had, gaps of time where women were doing that live, I was like looking ahead to what I was going to teach them next. So I couldn't necessarily finalize the list myself in the workshop, but I'm so pleased to finally have it out there. And actually what you're going to hear in, the first growth spurt this month is I'm just going to go through my do something list and tell you what's on there. So stay tuned for that, but just a little preview. It's kind of arts and crafty themed. And I'm really excited about a few things like sewing something to wear, which means that's kind of a do something list is a fun way to explore things. So that's my fun way of exploring, maybe getting into sewing again. And anyway, there's some more on there that I'll be sharing in a growth spurt, but also know that I hung it up. And now I have like this beautiful hallway next to my bathroom of my goals for the year, my identity statement, the 2 vision boards that I made, and a collage night that I did at a local art studio. So it's feeling good. Like this is one of the most intentional I've been able to be in years. Still healing from the hard pregnancy and delivery and all of that. So anyway, on my do something list, I still have the get out and get cultured events because that really is what saved my 2024. So it's so fun to know that in February, I've already done Cinderella and then Les Mis, which will have done tonight. So I can knock off 2 of the 12 I want to do this year. Also this year so far, I'm going to pull up my Google Sheets to see how many books I've read. I'm pulling up my private reading diary, that where I keep track of my books, and members of the supporters club at any level get access to it. It lists all the books I've read in a year, as well as like a short, quick and honest review and and my ratings. So far I have 8 on the reading diary, but I know I've read, I believe 3 or 4 more since then. So I've read about 12 books so far this year. Some really great books, and I'm going to be sharing one of them that I really loved in the what I'm loving lately segment a bit later. My read the shelf challenge has been slow. This is also part of what you'll hear more on more personal content. I have this challenge where I'm trying to read books that I've had on my shelf forever. And the goal was to read 3 books a month. And so far, I have almost read 3 books in the year. So I may change it from 3 books a month to like 2 books a month. But I do have to say, like, of course, January was nuts because there was still no childcare. February was adjusting to childcare. And then my toddler hasn't been napping. Maybe that's one of my lows too. He has not been napping. So I had the habit plan to read more in the afternoons. And I'll tell you more about that in a moment too. That's not like working out so well. So I need to come up with a different habit of when to read. So that's going slow. I want to be able to read more physical books to work on that part of my DSL, which is to finish the Read the Shelf challenge and read 36 physical books. But that one's probably going to be tweaked. And that's the joy and the beauty of a do something list. It's allowed to be tweaked. Coming up this next month, this month I still need to bake something, which I'm going to do. For my toddler's birthday, I made him a s'more cake or like a graham cracker kind of cake. So that was my first bake something new. But before February is totally done, I'm going to be making sourdough bagels this weekend, which will be great. That's the plan. So I want to bake something else in March that is new, and I've got to figure out what's a get out and get cultured event that I want to go to. And I'm also going to look into a sewing machine on Facebook Marketplace is the plan. So I'll let you know how that goes. That's it for the Do Something List update. The next segment is Make It a Habit. I mentioned childcare had some shifts, right? It required some shifts, mostly because with writing the book and getting childcare, she's coming at 10 a.m. those days. So I just have weirdly less flexibility. Even though I have now more time to officially work, I have less flexibility in the mornings. So because of that, what's going well is me getting up early, like I shared, but trying to break up my workout less. So I am trying to get the full workout in on the mornings that she comes in before. So that's actually going well. Another habit that's going well is reading with my 7-year-old in the afternoons. Now, what was going well for a little while was reading myself in the afternoons, which the goal was at 2 p.m. I stop work and I read for myself. And that was going well for a couple weeks until my toddler stopped napping. So that's been tough because I have to hold him or try to get him to sleep or play with him. So that's going to be tweaked a little bit. What's not going so well are my Friday chores. It's not going well. I'm really struggling on Fridays, I typically wash the wood floors in the main level and do the bathroom. And I haven't been able to. It's just, there's too much going on, work that needs to be finished. So I need to figure that out because I want to get it. I don't like it. I don't like walking on dirty floors and seeing a dirty bathroom. I do want to look into a house cleaner. I said that in my goals for the year, but I just feel like with, hiring childcare for things and hiring a hybrid editor, and obviously the money I make goes to that, which means the supporters club doesn't even cover those things, by the way. That doesn't cover it at all. We don't even cover our expenses yet, but it does help. Anyway, with those additional expenses, it doesn't feel like the wisest time to do that. So I just want to figure that out a little bit more. And maybe as we continue to adjust to getting more help with the childcare situation, in general, just having her around, I'll have more of the time and energy on Friday afternoons to get back into it. But I just wanted to share that. That's it for Make It a Habit. The next segment is Book Watch. The Book Watch segment is where I share about how it's going with me writing a book this year. I'm hoping I can announce the title in the next few months, but it is about habits for women. I am officially done with writing part 2 of 8, and I'm into writing part 3. This past month felt like more of a slog in some ways, which I think is normal whenever you're working on a bigger goal. The first little while you have more momentum and motivation and energy, which is all synonymous really. Um, and it's normal for that to dip and for things to feel a little bit harder. You'd have more inner resistance. And I'm feeling that, but I'm still proud of myself because even then, I am showing up for my baselines of 15 minutes of writing most days, and usually it's more than that. But even hitting those baselines is making a difference, and the needle is moving forward. I had Rachel read the beginning of the book, not the preview. What's it called? I always forget this word. Not preamble. Anyway, there's a part that starts with the P, and before like the actual book starts, and she was like, "This is really good," and that made me feel like excited. So I feel proud of myself and ready for more of what's to come. Some of the thing that's on the horizon for me is looking for an editor as well as um, uh, hiring. I actually just did this. I hired a coach to help me with the self-publishing piece, um, as well as some other things. So I'm looking forward to that. It's Miranda Anderson. We're just going to meet once a month, and I think it'll be the perfect thing. She has self-published before, so I'm just going to meet with her to make sure I'm on the right track and doing good things. So I did launch something kind of cool with the book launch, or the book watch rather, is the book launch committee. And this is like a free thing if you want to be in the know of like, hey, when I announce the title, or here's the cover, or here's the publishing date, or if you want to help as part of being an advanced reader, or um, being a grassroots publicist almost, then join the book launch committee. It's just an email list specifically for the people who are interested in the book. And you can do that by going to aboutprogress.com/book committee. I believe that's the URL. Let me go look really quick. Aboutprogress.com/book committee. And that's all one word there, book committee. And committee is 2 M's and 2 T's and 2 E's if you're like me and struggle with spelling. So I'd love for you to get on that list so you can be part of the official book watch, being part of the committee. That's it for the book watch. The next segment is what I'm loving lately. First up is Perk hot chocolate, which I just finished drinking. Can I tell you something? I have never been a caffeine drinker. My sleep is so guarded because it's taken me so many years to work on my night, or my night, not, no, that's not a word, night owl ways rather. It's taken me so long to work on that. And because I have to go to bed early, I have to wake up early to work on that book. I guard that so carefully that I am terrified of caffeine, because typically in the past, if I'd ever have like even like a can of Diet Coke, like it affects my sleep. But I found Perk hot chocolate at my Costco at the beginning of February, put it in my cart because it was on sale. And I was like, hey, I might as well try this. It's always talked about online. It is delicious. I have a huge mug, and one scoop, it's like more than rich. I think one scoop for like 8 ounces would be way too much, like in terms of richness. And I love sweet things. There is that kind of like stevia kind of taste to it, but it is so good. It has like things like collagen and protein, which I didn't really care about, but it has the caffeine boost, which by the way, I looked it up and it's like the same as a cup of coffee. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. I was like, whoa, is that bad? Like, I don't care. People are guzzling Diet Coke all day. Anyway, so it does give me that little boost in the morning. I don't drink it any other time of day. It hasn't affected my sleep, but it's a really good taste. And I do feel like, a little bit of a little bit of energy, but not like a huge amount that I'm suddenly crashing after. So it's really good. Highly recommend it. And I will be repurchasing. The next thing I'm loving is Cubby's wild rice kale salad. I think about this salad and I have loved it for a couple of years. But when I was driving up to Idaho, I stopped along the way and that kale salad, like, not only kept me energized throughout my almost 5-hour drive, it also kept me awake. I, like, ate it in segments because it was just so much, um, and it's, like, so chewy, but it's so delicious. It just has this good combination of flavors and textures, and the dressing is so good, and it's just so healthful. It's I love that wild rice kale salad. I could eat it all the time, and it's one of my things that I do to just treat myself, like get Cubbies once a month or every so often. Their sweet potato fries are excellent too. So that was something I just like while I was eating. I'm like, I just love this salad so much. It's so good. And the next thing I'm loving is an audiobook that I listened on that first long drive up to Sun Valley, and it's Why Is She Going Out with Him? Let me double check that actually. I want to make sure I'm telling you right. I'm trying to look at my history timeline. Oh, Is She Really Going Out with Him by Sophie Cousins. I think that's the first book I've ever read by her, but I believe she's a pretty popular rom-com kind of writer. It was a really, really good book. One of the things I loved about it is the main protagonist is 38 years old. Oh my gosh. I'm 38 years old, but I love that it's like not this young 21-year-old having a romance. It's like a mature woman who's been through a divorce, who has 2 kids, and the romance she has with someone in her life that starts as like the enemies trope. It's like enemies to lovers trope. Anyway, it's really, really good. And yeah, predictable because rom-coms are, and that's kind of the comfort of it. There is some spice, but it's not super like spicy. I loved it all. So Is She Really Going Out with Him? I really recommend that book. Next up is On My Mind. On my mind is me thinking ahead to the spring season and how intensely busy it's going to be with my kids. We've been signing them up for baseball and sports and volleyball. And I'm also trying to get my daughter signed up for high school. Oh, she's going to high school next year. That's ninth grade where we live. Anyway, it's just like, whoa, it's going to be a lot. And one of the things that makes it most complicated, and I didn't mean to allude to this so many times, but being a one-car family is a little crazy. We're we're excited to be paying off our van this year, which is great. And we think about, honestly, a huge blessing. Uh, we're thinking about like, well, maybe we should finally get a second car, but I really don't want them. I don't want another car. We wouldn't be able to buy one outright anyway. And it like the interest rates are high. Then you have to pay for insurance and maintenance. And anyway, so we're still just going to do another year without a second car. And just save towards buying one maybe next year or the year after, because we will eventually need a second car in our family, especially with our kids getting older, and our daughter will be getting her license in a couple years, things like that. Anyway, but just knowing that we're going to have another year of it just being so intense when we're trying to get so many kids at different places all at the same time and also trying to support them, it's going to be a lot. And we try to be really clear about like, okay, what are the sports you absolutely love and which ones could you not really care about? And let's not do those this year. We don't like to overschedule them, but even then with this many kids, it gets to be a lot. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And not also not. And also thinking about the summer already. I can't believe it. Like it's March. So I'm thinking about the summer. I'm thinking my podcast manager, Taylor, is going to be moving this summer, which is so excited. We'll have her tell more about that on More Personal soon. But with her moving and me trying to have a fun summer with my kids, last summer I took off, I believe, was it 8 weeks or 6 weeks of the podcast and did encore episodes. And guess what? People listen to those just as much as my new episodes. So we'll probably do something similar, and we're just trying to figure out when we're going to do that. Is it going to be just July? Or if she's moving on August, should we do like a couple weeks in August? So we're going to sort that out, but I'm thinking ahead to that too, and also how I want to do a summer. And speaking of which, I'm supposed to be hosting more workshops soon. Ride or Die levels are going to get a special workshop on how to dream again and take action in small ways. And I'm thinking about opening that up to the public too. But In May-ish, I'm also going to host another workshop on how to plan your summer, like plan out your summer, to just do a really practical workshop on how to create a summer of your dreams, which we had last summer and I want to replicate and I want to help you replicate it too. So stay tuned for that. That's it for On My Mind. The next and final segment is about Progress's progress. In this segment, I just kind of tell you how the business is going. Let's start with where we are at with the Supporters Club and our numbers there. I'm just going to look it up really quick. Our numbers right now are still 164, which they were last month. And that's also like, people enroll and then people, it's not their time where they need to stop for some reason. And I try to make it very easy to cancel. So whenever I see someone cancel their Supporters Club membership, I guess you could say, I'm like, yay, that was good. I'm glad it was easy for you to cancel and thank you for the support you gave. So there's been some movement there. One thing to know is, if I'm just gonna be really honest with you, I have only had 3 ads booked this year for the entire year of 2025. When you hear ads on my show, just know they're not being paid for right now. The reason I'm airing those ads is because I'm trying to get more people to check out their page or to buy things from them so that those sponsors will come back and renew. And it's a little scary right now. As you know, 2024 was a year of like make it or break it. At the end of the year, thanks to the Supporters Club and me taking on more coaching clients, I'm like, okay, About Progress can continue, but it's still like tremulous ground we're walking on. It's still shaky. So I'm a little nervous. And to fully cover About Progress's costs, we need to get to 250. And that's not accounting for the new hybrid editor that I just brought on. Again, she's working minimal hours, but that's things to pay for, and babysitting, which I don't count as part of the expenses, but I would like to. Anyway, it's a little scary right now. So if you would like to ensure that About Progress can continue to go on and be free and open for all, even the $2 amount a month of being a part of the Supporters Club makes a big difference. So I'd encourage you to sign up at aboutprogress.com/support. If you sign up for the Bestie or Ride or Die level, which by the way, Ride or Die levels are most popular, you get access to more personal and also a private book club and a private workshop each year. And the private workshop is coming up in March. Would love to have you there. Like I said, in the fall, we're going to be talking about The Small and the Mighty by Sharon McMahon. And More Personal has a lot of great content. It's really fun. As airing of this More Personal, or of this Messy Middle, last week on More Personal, I would have aired part 1 of my deep dive into weight loss drugs, GLP-1s. That honestly took months to prepare, several hours, months of reading books and interviewing people. And it's great content, and also a variety of content. We have pretty fun and also more serious. It's a good variety. So I'd love to join you again. Have you join the Supporters Club? Again, go to aboutprogress.com/support. Other news and updates. Last month, I shared that we switched everything over to a single site. So aboutprogress.com is all my courses, and the podcast and blog content is in one place. And as part of that, I lost my SEO. That means your search engine optimization. So it's actually going okay. I've Googled a few episodes, and some are starting to show up now when you search for Google, but most are not. So you actually have to go to the site, like the new site, and search under the podcast and find it. So I'm hoping that can gradually get better. I said affordable workshops are coming, but another update is to just follow on YouTube. If we can get to a certain number of subscribers and hours watched on YouTube, then we can also start getting paid for ads on there, which would be excellent. So follow us on YouTube. I'd like to end this segment with the review of the month. This review actually comes from way back in November. So also, if you want to support the show for free, go and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. This is from Kirsten Anders, and she says, Monica's podcast is one of my favorites. Her guest, calming voice, and topics really glue me in every week. I love how I can follow along with her topics and it's not all over the place. Grateful to be learning about progression, not perfection. So Kirsten, please email me at hello@aboutprogress.com if that's you, and I would love to send you a thank you gift, which I just did the other day. I sent off all the thank you gifts for people who have done that recently. And just so you know, once we get to 1,250 reviews, which we're really close to. Right now, we're at 1,216. I have my favorite linen apron and kitchen towels to give away to anyone who left reviews from 2024 through to this year till we get to that number. So go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. My friends, that is it for the Messy Middle episode. I so enjoy being able to sit down and just chat with you. And it always surprises me that people like hearing an informal me just shooting the breeze and telling you what's up. I hope that in sharing my messy middle, it gives you the courage to lean into your own messy middle today.